breaking news, Liverpool fans. There's finally some transfer news to talk about, and it's pretty monumental in the sense that a player could be leaving, a player could be joining. The fees are pretty staggering in terms of what we were expecting. And honestly, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but there's a lot to talk about. Of course, the player that is rumored to be coming in, according to Ian Doyle, according to some reporters around, the internet, is Anthony Gordon. Newcastle forward Anthony Gordon obviously played at Everton, previously played for Liverpool's academy, now linked with a move back to Liverpool, but that's not all. Anthony Gordon could be going from Newcastle to Liverpool, but apparently there's going to be a switch or a player involved in the deal, either as just an additional asset in the deal or a transfer fee the other way from Newcastle to Liverpool for this player to kind of balance both of the team's books. That player is none other than Joe Gomez. And I am kind of split on this. I really actually have kind of grown to rate Anthony Gordon over the last couple seasons. When he first burst onto the scene, obviously, him playing for Everton, me being a fan of Liverpool, I was never necessarily going to give him the easiest of kind of, I would be a bit more critical of him than other players, I would imagine, just based on that rivalry, if I'm being real. But he has kind of grown into a threatening, explosive, dynamic winger who I could see why Liverpool would go out and want to get Anthony Gordon. The price tag, a little wishy-washy on. I mean, it's not confirmed, but the rumored fee is £75 million. That's an absolute L for Liverpool if they go out and actually pay that much. Because this guy was in your academy years ago, you cut him loose, you let him go to Everton, and now he's made the switch from Everton to Newcastle, now maybe Newcastle to Liverpool. But at the same time, £75 million is too much for Anthony Gordon. It's also way too much to spend on a player who you previously let loose. I think it'd be bad business on that front. If the fee was lower, I could understand it. I would welcome him in terms of the quality of player, I'm absolutely welcome with the idea of Anthony Gordon joining Liverpool. A fee around 45, 50 mil, I could maybe understand, English tax, young, explosive winger, scored at least double digits, I think, in the Premier League last season. So he checks a lot of boxes. But if this deal does manifest in the way that it is being reported, in the sense that Gordon goes to Liverpool for, say, 75 million, and according to Ian Doyle, the reports are that Newcastle was going to have a 35 or 45 million pound bid that they were going to send for Joe Gomez. So effectively, it's a swap of Gordon for Gomez plus 30 mil. So Gomez plus 30 mil is what I think is the reported total cost of the deal. Is it worth it? I don't know. I think that's a bit too expensive for me. I kind of want to take this moment in the video to just talk about Joe Gomez briefly, because Joe Gomez has been such a good player for Liverpool. I don't think people really give him his flowers. And if this does spell the end of his time here at Anfield, I mean, all thanks to Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez has been incredible. He's had some rough patches, but, he came in as a fairly young player, and he's, played at center back. He's played at right back. He's played at left back. He's played as defensive mid. He's played everywhere. He's really a Swiss Army man for us in our squad at the back line. There's been moments where he's moonlit as a DM, and he's really given his all for this club, I think. And I think he gets a lot of flack when things aren't going too well, or he did throughout the seasons. I think it's cooled down a bit now, but even still, I really rate Joe Gomez. It would absolutely pain me to no end to see this man leave the club without scoring a goal for us. But he is pretty symbolic of the Klopp era. If this is the only way to do it, I guess that's the only way to do it. I would try to figure out a way to keep both Gordon and Gomez, especially since Matip has left on a free. You don't want to be in the position where you're like, well, we have, Konate, Van Dijk, say Gomez leaves. So Konate, Van Dijk, Sepp Vandenberg, Kwanzaa. And, those are four pretty solid center backs. I won't lie. I rate all of them. But you still want probably like another two. I think you'd want, some third choice center back options, obviously. No one's going to want to be playing that. And if Joe Gomez wants consistent minutes, and this is, he has stated that he is open to a move as well, who am I to really kick up a fuss about it? In terms of fit at Newcastle, I think he'd be an incredible signing for them. I mean, there's been a lot of, playing Dan Burn at left back, or, there's been a lot of switching and rotating at the fullback positions for Newcastle over the last couple seasons. Trippier obviously holding down the right back spot, but at left back it's been a little shaky. And while I don't think Joe Gomez is necessarily best at fullback, I will say this one thing for any Newcastle fans, or somehow some godly way Eddie Howe or Jason Tyndall are listening to this. Whatever you do, don't play Joe Gomez at right back. For some weird reason, Joe Gomez, whereas normally you would expect a fullback to, if they're right-footed or left-footed, then respectively they would be better at, a right-footed player would be better at right back, a left-footed player would be better at left back, because you could swing in crosses and you could just kind of control the game easier with that foot from that side of the pitch. But with Joe Gomez, he can't do it too well, even though he's right-footed at right back, but at left back, he is incredible. He is really, really good, especially if you're trying to do something with a system where it would involve him kind of, playing in a pseudo back three that's really a back four with maybe Trippier going forward, and you could have, Cher, Botman, Joe Gomez at left back, but really it's just a back three. And maybe you have Trippier or whoever else is playing at right back inverting or bombing forward. Regardless, I think that there is a lot that is going to be missed with Joe Gomez if he does leave. It is actually, I think, one of the more kind of under the radar moves. Unless you're really following Liverpool a lot, I do think the absence of having someone who could play so versatilely along that back line, be able to play so consistently. Obviously, he's had his injury issues, but I think he's past that for the most part. He's a really, really good center back, and it's going to suck to see him go if he does. Anthony Gordon, final thoughts really quick. Obviously, I never really kind of, he when I first found out about Anthony Gordon, he was playing for Everton, and he was very easy to kind of, I guess, dogpile onto in terms of, just like this unlikable figure. In the sense that, he's playing for a rival team. He's actually decent. He was rapid as soon as he burst onto the scene. He was threatening in the Merseyside derbies. I saw him play against us. And it was just this thing of like, man, I really don't want you to succeed. And then obviously the way he left Everton wasn't necessarily the, sunniest exit, but at the same time, at the moment when I had seen that go down, I was like, wow, this guy's kind of like that's pretty messed up. Little did I know he was actually part of the Liverpool academy. Since then, obviously, I found out. Hasn't necessarily changed my opinion of him a ton, but I have grown on him as just like a general player in terms of, being past the need to like be like, oh, this guy's just trash because he plays for Everton, or played for Everton even. But yeah, he would be a very welcome addition, I think, at Liverpool. If it's at the cost of Joe Gomez, I'd begrudgingly accept it as long as Liverpool do go out and get some more defensive reinforcements. That doesn't mean necessarily a center back or a center back who could play fullback or a fullback, just somebody. It could be any of those three. It doesn't have to be any specifically, but we need some depth there, just generally, I think. And while Joe Gomez, isn't starting week in, week out, his contributions to Liverpool over the last few seasons, they can't be understated. So thank you, Joe Gomez. And Anthony Gordon, if you're on your way, who knows? I'll let everybody know if any more news develops on this story. It's kind of been breaking throughout the course of the day, and I've been waiting to see if there'd be any big Fabrizio or David Ornstein stuff. But right now, Ian Doyle is reporting it, which for me is good enough to come on here and talk about it, because that does mean there is some kind of movement on the Liverpool front. There was obviously, I'm just quickly going to talk about some of the rejected deals. I believe it was PSV came in, or was it Eintracht Frankfurt for Sepp Vandenberg? That got rejected, but the story broke this week. But it's now come out that that was weeks ago. Same deal for Wataru Endo to Marseille. So it does seem that there's a bit of a lag with the actual activity. So it wouldn't surprise me if this Anthony Gordon, Joe Gomez swap deal plus 30 mil is very close to being finished. So if I end up coming onto the channel very, very shortly, meaning like a day or two, or maybe even 12 hours from now, just know that this has been probably being worked on for a while now. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you enjoyed as well. It's the easiest way to support the channel. And as well as that, you could comment down below with your thoughts on this deal. How do you feel about Joe Gomez possibly leaving? How do you feel about Anthony Gordon possibly joining Liverpool? Bit of a shocking twist in the transfer window that I don't think many people were necessarily anticipating right off the jump. But obviously, now deeper into the window, things are going to start coming in thicker and faster. There's going to be a lot of news to cover. So I'm going to try to keep you guys up to date. So stay up to date, subscribe, like the video, and comment if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.